Awesome. Who has been to a backwards night before? Aren't backwards nights awesome? Yes, they are awesome. So yes, tonight is a backwards night. So kind of what happens is the message and the music gets put in the front, and then the game, we end up doing a bigger game because we move all of the chairs out of the way, and we do a big game at the end and sweat and have fun at the end. So that's what a backwards night's all about. Yeah, so. All right, so tonight we are continuing our series, Jesus Will Blow Your Mind. Yes, Jesus will blow your mind. He is that amazing. He is that awesome. Last week we looked at Jesus' claim that he was God. Last week, that's what we looked at. Jesus said he was God. Now some of you guys might be like, well, what's the big deal about that? Well, that ultimately led him to his death. Because you don't claim to be God back in those times. And even if you said that today, like, I'm God, people will think you're like crazy in the head. All right? But people did not believe that Jesus was God himself. And so last week we said that his miracles helped prove that he was God. So tonight we are going to continue to talk about some of those miracles that Jesus did. And just in case you don't know what a miracle is, we're going to go back to watch a little bit of Bruce Almighty and check out some of the miracles that Bruce was involved in after he got God's power. So check this out.
Excuse me, I need a... It's okay, I found one.
Here's your soup.
Oh, soup, right. Yeah, right.
All right. So, those were some miracles that we saw there. So I want to know if anyone can do that same miracle that Bruce just did, where he parted the water, well, he parted the soup. We don't have any soup right now, we just have water. Is there any? If you don't do it, I get to punch you in the face. Okay, never mind. If you don't do it, you can't go to the lock-in. So you need to be able to do a miracle right now. If you do not do it, if you do not part the water, you cannot go to the lock-in. You think you can do it? Who can honestly do a miracle right now? Part this water like Bruce just did, or like God did in Exodus. Part the waters without touching it with just miracle. If you get up here and don't do it, you will not be able to go to the lock-in. Exactly what I thought. No one can do that. And that is what a miracle is. Okay? That is what a miracle is. A miracle. This is the definition of a miracle. A miracle is an effect or extraordinary event in the physical world that surpasses all known human or natural powers and is ascribed to a supernatural cause. Okay, it's something that is basically humanly impossible. Okay? Now, when we look at Jesus' life, Jesus performed many miracles. Stuff that could not be explained. And so tonight, we're going to look at 3 specific types of miracles that he did. These 3 types of miracles prove that Jesus was God. Why? They proved he was God because it showed that he had power and authority over this world. He had power and authority over every single part of this world. So, if you have an outline, we're going to look at the 3 different types of miracles that Jesus performed. The first one, Jesus' miracles proved his power over the physical world. Okay? Over the physical world. This is most of Jesus' miracles. Okay, most of Jesus' miracles had to do with the physical world. They fall into this category. Water to wine, walking on water, lots of things like that. We're going to look at three small stories tonight where Jesus performed miracles over the physical world. So I need people to look up these verses. If you have an outline, you can look them up ahead of time. There's Mark chapter 4, 35 through 41. There's John 6, 9 through 11. And there is Mark 3, 9 through 10. And you are going to find them and you're going to read them out loud into the microphone. So I need people to find them to help me out. Come on, I know we have some readers in here. There's a lot of people who didn't grab Bibles. Oh, go grab Bibles if you want to help us out. There's going to be a lot of verses tonight. So if you want to look up scripture and read them out loud, help us out. Mark chapter 4, they're all in your outline. If you don't have an outline, go grab an outline. They're all listed in the outline. Okay, so someone look up Mark chapter 4, 35 through 41. This is a story where Jesus calms the storms. All right, Jesus calms the storm. Who has that one? Who has that one and is willing to read it into the microphone? Either you don't have it or you don't want to read it. So, Mark 4, 35 through 41. Who's got that one? Okay. Hopefully is that all on? Yeah, it's on. Go ahead and read it. Look on the outline.
As evening came, Jesus said to his disciples, "Let's cross to the other side of the lake." So they took Jesus in the boat and started out, leaving the crowds behind, although other boats followed. But soon a furious storm came up. High waves were breaking into the boat. It began to fill with water. Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on the cushion. The disciples woke him up shouting, "Teacher, don't you care that we are going to drown?" When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Silence, but be still." Suddenly the wind stopped and there was a great calm. Then he asked them, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" The disciples were absolutely terrified. "Who is this man?" they asked each other. Even the wind and waves obeyed him.
Awesome. Thank you so much for you. Give her a big round of applause. All right, the next one is John 6, 9 through 11. So in that quick story, we have the disciples on a boat. Storms come, starts rocking the boat. Water starts going inside the boat. Is it good when water goes inside a boat? No. So the disciples freak out. They say, "We're going to drown." And they go to Jesus, and Jesus is sleeping. Okay, I think that's awesome. Jesus is like, doesn't have a care in the world. He knows he's got a handle. He's sleeping. They wake him up. They're like, "Dude, we're going to die. Help us out." And he gets up and he tells the wind and the waves to shut up. He's like, "Dude, stop." And they stop. He controls the wind and the water. That story, Jesus reminds me of Storm from X-Men, right? Because he can control the wind and the waves and stuff like that, and so can Jesus. So he calms the storms. That is the first miracle. All right, John 6, 9 through 11. You got that one? Okay, so John 6, 9 through 11. Another miracle that happens. Listen up.
Instantly, the man was healed. He rolled up his sleeping mat and began walking. But this miracle happened in Sabbath, so Jewish leaders...
Are you sure you're on John 6, 9 through 11?
After this, Jesus crossed over the far side of the sea in Galilee, also known as the Sea of Tiberias. A huge crowd kept following him wherever he went, because they saw this miraculous sign as he healed the sick. Then Jesus climbed a hill and sat down with his disciples around him. It was nearly time for the Jewish Passover cleaver. Jesus soon saw a huge crowd of people coming to look for him. Turning to Philip, he asked, "Where can we buy bread to feed all these people?" He was testing Philip, for he already knew that he was going to do. Philip replied, Even if we worked for months, we wouldn't have enough money to feed them. There was a young boy here who had 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but that was good. It was with this huge crowd. To tell everyone to sit down, Jesus said, so they all sit down on the grassy slopes. The men alone numbered about 5,000. Then Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks to God, and distributed them to the people. Afterward, he did the same with the fish, and they ate as much as they wanted.
Awesome. Thank you. Give her a big round of applause. All right. So that was the miracle of multiplying the food and feeding over 5,000 people. And that miracle he didn't do just once. He actually did twice. Who knows if he did it more times than that. But Jesus multiplies the food. It's getting late and hungry. People are listening to him teach. He takes the 5 loaves and 2 fish from this little boy. He multiplies it. Everyone eats, and they have leftovers. Isn't that awesome? I love leftovers, especially if the food was good. So, like I told you before, I love that Jesus can do this. I think I should take him to restaurants with me so that he can multiply the food that I buy, and then I have leftovers. Really cool stuff. All right, the next miracle we're going to look at, miracle over the physical world, is Mark chapter 3, 9 and 10. All right, I'm going to go back to this side. I'm going to go to the second row. We got more times to read, guys, so don't worry, you'll probably get a chance. It is Mark 3, 9 through 10, and if you found it, stay there because we have another passage right after that. Go ahead.
Okay. Jesus instructed his disciples to have a boat ready so the crowd would not crush him. He had healed so many people that day, so all the sick people eagerly pushed forward to touch him. And whenever those possessed by evil spirits caught sight of him, the spirits would throw themselves on the ground in front of him, shrieking, "You are the Son of God." But Jesus sternly commanded the spirits not to reveal who he was.
Okay, that's good. I think you went 1, 2, 3. That's good. Thank you. Give her a big round of applause. All right. Oh, I put 9 through 14 up there. Yeah, we're just getting 9 through 11, or 9 and 10. So, right there, it's a really quick passage saying that Jesus healed so many different people. He healed a crippled man right before that. He healed a whole bunch of diseases. The people saw that he was healing, so they started crowding Jesus, and they just wanted to touch Jesus because they knew if they would touch Jesus, then they would be healed by him. So those are just 3 examples where Jesus had power over the physical world. Okay? He was able to calm the storm. He was able to feed, to multiply food. He was able to heal various sicknesses. So he had power over the physical world. Secondly, Jesus' miracles proved his power, number 2, over the spiritual world. Okay? So now we're going to move from the physical world to now Jesus having power over the spiritual world. So if someone has that passage, Mark chapter 3, we're going to read verse 11. Then now we're going to read verses 11 through 14. So Mark chapter 3, 11 through 14. Does anybody have it on this side? All right. So Mark 3, 11 through 14. This continues the story when Jesus was healing all these people.
And whenever those possessed by evil spirits caught sight of him, the spirits would throw them to the ground in front of him, shrieking, "You are the Son of God." But Jesus sternly commanded the spirits not to reveal who he was. Afterward, Jesus went up to the mountain and called out the ones he wanted to go with him, and they came to him. Then he appointed 12 of them and called them his apostles. They were to accompany him, and he would send them out to preach.
Thank you. Give her a big round of applause. All right, so in that passage, we see, again, he was healing a whole bunch of people, but then it talks about the fact that he was healing possessed people. Okay, possessed by evil spirit, possessed by demons, however you want to look at it, Jesus was able to heal people that were possessed by evil spirits. Another one, he cast out demons, which is kind of the same thing. Luke chapter 4, 33 through 36. Does someone want that one? Luke chapter 4, 33 through 36. Is that on there? I might have, let's see here. Yeah, they should be 4. I make mistakes on these outlines sometimes. Too many verses to keep straight. It's Luke chapter 4, 33 through 36. All right, she had her hand first. So chapter 4 of Luke, 33 through 36.
Once when he was in the synagogue, a man possessed by a demon, an evil spirit, began shouting at Jesus, "Go away, why are you interfering with us, Jesus of Nazareth? Have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." Jesus cut him short. "Be quiet. Come out of the man," he ordered. At that, the demon threw the man to the floor as the crowd watched. Then it came out of him without hurting him further. Amazed, the people exclaimed, "What authority empowered this man words possess? Even evil spirits obey him, and they flee at his command."
Awesome. Thank you. Round of applause, everybody. It's not the easiest to read into a microphone when everyone's listening to you. So, are you noticing a pattern here? So Jesus heals this guy. He has a demon, possessed by a demon. The demon comes out. And then the people that are there watching, okay? Because every time Jesus is doing these things, there's tons of people around. Jesus is like really, really popular, okay? He's like a famous movie star or rock star where the paparazzi is around him all the time, okay? People are around Jesus all the time. So here in this passage you see, in all the other passages too, when people are seeing, they're like amazed. Amazed at what Jesus is doing. Amazed at his power. Amazed that he has power over the physical world. Amazed that he has power over the spiritual world. And here's the third thing. Jesus also had power over death. Okay? Jesus had power over death. So it goes even another level here. Okay? Even another level. Physical world, spiritual world. And now we see through Jesus' life that Jesus has power over death. Jesus can do miracles when it comes to death. He raised people from the dead. And so we're going to look at the story of Lazarus. Any of you guys heard the story of Lazarus before? This is Lazarus, Jesus' dear friend. He's died. He's been dead for 4 days. He's in his tomb. Jesus finally comes and he raises him from the dead. So that's John chapter 11, 43 through 45. All right? Jonah, grab an outline, dude.
Then Jesus shouted, Lazarus, come out. And the dead man came out, his hands and feet bound in grave clothes, his face wrapped in a headcloth. Jesus told them, unwrap them and let him go. Many people who were with Mary believed in Jesus when they saw this happen.
Awesome. Thank you. Give a big round of applause. And make sure to get thumbs up, please. All right, so he raises Lazarus from the dead. Lazarus has been in his tomb for 4 days. He probably stank badly. He raised Lazarus from the dead, but if you notice there, it said people were amazed and they believed that he was the Son of God. They believed because of his miracles. Can you believe that? That Jesus has the power to raise people from the dead. Is that amazing to you? Does that blow your mind?
Yes.
Is there anybody here that can do that? You guys are such liars. Oh my goodness. None of you guys can raise people from the dead. After 4 days? After 4 days, can you guys raise anybody from the dead? Oh my gosh. You guys think you can do everything. That's what the world tells you. You can do everything. Not everything. Alright. So you think you can raise people from the dead. Can you raise yourself from the dead? No. Alright. This is Jesus' ultimate miracle. He raised himself from the dead. Okay? After Jesus was crucified, many of you guys know the story. After Jesus was crucified, he was buried 3 days. 3 days later, we have Mary going to visit the tomb where they put Jesus. She finds that the tomb is open and empty. That would be really weird, right? You show up at someone's gravesite, and the gravesite has been dug up. The coffin is up out of the ground, and it's open. What would you think? Freaked out, right? That's how Mary showed up at the tomb. Okay? John 20, 11 through 16. Someone on this side have it? John 20, 11 through 16. This is Mary showing up at the tomb, and it's open, and yeah, craziness. You want it? John 20, 11 through 16. Do you want it? Okay. And if someone else wanted it, he needs to want to read it. You can't tell him to read it. Anybody else? All right, I guess I'll read it. All right. All right, so here we go. Mary was standing outside the tomb crying, and as she wept, she stooped and looked in. She saw 2 white-robed angels, one sitting at the head and the other at the foot of the place where the body of Jesus had been lying. Dear woman, why are you crying? The angels asked her. Because they have taken away my Lord, she replied, and I don't know where they have put him. So she thought that people came and stole Jesus' body. She turned to leave and saw somebody standing there. It was Jesus, but she didn't recognize him. Dear woman, why are you crying? Jesus asked. Who are you looking for? She thought he was the gardener. Sir, she said, if you have taken him away, tell me where you have put him, and I will go and get him. Mary, Jesus said. She turned to him and cried out, Rabboni, which is Hebrew for teacher. So, Mary freaks out, thinks someone stole Jesus' body. 2 angels came, asked her questions like, why are you crying? What's going on? And then she turns around to leave, and Jesus is there. She thinks it's the gardener. She doesn't think it's Jesus. And Jesus talks to her, and then she realizes it's Jesus. And the rest is history. Jesus raised himself from the dead. That's pretty crazy. Because Jesus said this was going to happen. Jesus said he would die, and then he would be raised again 3 days later. So, he told the truth. So, we read all those stories, and there are way more miracles. It would take us all night long to read through all the different miracles that Jesus did. And there's more that weren't even recorded in the Gospels. But, so what? So what? Why do we care about all these miracles that Jesus did? Why do we care that he had power over the physical world? Why do we care that he had power over the spiritual world? Why do we care that he had power over death? Sometimes we read these stories and we're like, oh, big whoop, it's Jesus. Yeah, Jesus is cool. Jesus did all this stuff. What does it have to do with me? What does it have to do with us? Well, I want you to think 2 things. These are your 2 thoughts for the week tonight. The first thing I want you to think of is this. Are you in need of a miracle? Are you in need of a miracle? Because I know a lot of you guys, and you're going through some tough stuff in your life right now. Maybe you're already getting bad grades. It's only been like a month. You're already getting bad grades. Maybe you're failing a class or something. Maybe you have some issues with some friends. So there's some drama going on at school or whatever. Maybe you and your parents aren't getting along, or you and your brother and sister aren't getting along. I don't know. We all have some issues in our lives. I don't know what it is, but maybe you need to go to Jesus and ask for his help. Maybe you need to go to Jesus and ask him to do a miracle in your life. If that's you tonight, I encourage you to go do a prayer card. Go fill it out. Your leaders will pray for the stuff going on in your lives. Also, you have leaders here when we start doing the music time. If you want to grab a leader and say, hey, can you pray for me about this? I'm sure your leaders would love to pray for you. We've seen that God can do amazing things, and he can do them in your life too. But I do want to caution you with something. Just because you pray and ask God to do something doesn't mean he's going to do it. Okay? He can do it. He does have the power to do it. But God has a plan in all things. And so he knows if you need to go through some hard times for a particular reason or whatever. But I will tell you this. When you ask him for help, when you ask him for a miracle, he will help you through it. He will give you the strength you need to keep going. He'll give you whatever you need to endure what you're going through. But that doesn't necessarily mean he'll fix it right off the bat. He could, but he might not. So are you in need of a miracle? The second thing that we can look at from Jesus' miracles is just like last week. Do Jesus' miracles prove that he indeed was God? The miracles that Jesus did, does it help you to realize that Jesus is God? I hope it does, but I can't make a choice for you. You have to decide for yourself if Jesus' miracles are enough proof that he indeed was God. Again, if you have questions about this, come find a leader. If you want to be prayed for by a leader, let us know. Or you can just use the prayer cards if you're kind of like, don't want to talk to us or nervous or whatever. We are here for you, and our desire, like I said the first week of Wildside, is for you to know Jesus better. For you to have a personal relationship with Jesus so that he can change your whole life if you believe in him. Next week, we're going to look at the fact that Jesus was perfect. Jesus never sinned. Now that blows my mind. Let's go ahead and pray. God, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you for everybody here. God, I just thank you for Jesus and for sending him to this earth and for him doing all these miracles and proving that he was God, proving he had power over the physical world, proving he had power over the spiritual world, and proving he had power over death when he rose from the dead and when he raised Lazarus. And God, those of us that believe in Jesus, those of us that have a relationship with you, God, I pray that we understand that because Jesus rose from the dead, that means we will also one day rise from the dead. And God, if there's someone here tonight that doesn't have a personal relationship with you, Jesus, they're not a Christian, they've never decided to believe in you, God, maybe tonight's the night they can come and talk to me, I'll be in the back. But God, those of us that do have a relationship, I pray that we do believe that you are God, that you proved it through these miracles. And God, I just pray in these next few minutes that we could stay attentive, that we don't distract ourselves or distract our friends. We could sing these songs, or we can do prayer cards or Q&A cards. But God, these next few minutes of singing and responding to you, that God, you would just listen to our praises, listen to our words. And God, that we would, if we need a miracle, that we would come to you and ask you for it. We pray all these things in your name. Amen.